Namita madam, you have joined.
Rajesh
Yes.
sir, please begin.
Okay, a very good morning to all the viewers. Today we are celebrating the World Environmental Day. And on the behalf of Parul Institute of Law, Parul University, myself, Dr. Rajesh Singh, Associate Professor, warm welcome our two speakers, Advocate Hitesh Gupta and Ms. Prachi Pratap. Advocate Hitesh Gupta is an advocate from Gujarat High Court. So let us introduce about this particular thing. Advocate Hitesh Gupta is a renowned advocate from just hold on. So about Hitesh Gupta sir, he is a renowned criminal advocate. He is practicing at district court as well as Gujarat High Court. He appeared before the various big matters from the criminal side. But he is one of the advocate. He is having a greater knowledge on the aspect of environmental law also. So let me introduce about the Hitesh Gupta. Hitesh Gupta is a lawyer practicing since 2004, mainly on the criminal side, and have appeared before the several trial courts throughout the India, including the Honorable High Courts. He completed his graduation in the law, followed by the Master in Law and the Maharaja Siyaj, and he has completed his Master of Law from the Maharaja Siyaji Rao University of Baroda. Also, he is also a PhD research scholar, presently doing the research on criminal investigation in India. As a practicing advocate, he has appeared in more than 4,000 matters, which include several high-profile cases, and one of the youngest lawyers to have appeared before the CBI court. He is also known as his hard work, dedication, and honest service toward the legal profession. Always enthusiastic and helpful for the grooming junior lawyers. Now coming to our other speaker, Ms. Prachi Pratap, who is one of the topmost advocate from the junior topmost 40 advocates in the Supreme Court, and she is practicing from the criminal side as well as civil, and in the banking sector also she is practicing. She is having lots of matter at the Supreme Court and regularly arguing before the Honorable Supreme Court. She has appeared in various webinars at our institute before that also. So I warm welcome both the speakers. On this note, and the topic of this program is on sustainable development and need of an hour. Now I will request our Provost Chancellor for Parul University. First of all, I introduce about M.N. Patel sir. He's having a total experience of 35 years in the teaching professor, and he was the Vice Chancellor of the Gujarat University before that, and since last 5 years he's in the Parul University as the Provost Chancellor at our university. So on this occasion, I warm welcome to you, sir. I also warm welcome Dr. Namita Vyas, who is the Dean at Parul Institute of Law, Parul University. She is just recently joined, and she has experience of 17 to 18 years in this teaching professor. She has written lots of research articles in national and international journals. So first of all, I will just tell Provost sir to grace this occasion on this sustainable development. Over to you, M.N. Patel sir. Dr. M.N. Patel sir, over to you. Sir, your voice is not coming, sir. It's my request. Sir, M.N. Patel sir, your voice is on mute. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just wait. I think some technical problem with in the voice. Yeah, he's connecting with another. Yes, good morning, sir. Aman Patel, sir.
Haji.
Yeah, sir, we have introduced the two speakers. Sir, it is a humble request if you grace this occasion and warm welcome our two speakers, sir. Over to you, sir.
Okay, very good morning to one and all. On the occasion of World Environment Day celebration, which is supposed to be on the 5th of June, but instead of Sunday, the Institute of Law is planning to celebrate that Environment Day today. I feel very proud that all the institutes are supposed to celebrate, especially those who belongs to with the civil engineering engineering colleges. Unfortunately, the awareness to be created, which is not created by all other colleges. So I again congratulate for you for being this type of program. And on that occasion, we are very lucky that we have two advocates as a resource person to deliver the talk. And obviously, our students, those who are going to hear that, will definitely be beneficiary in terms of law. Because environment awareness is the prime need of a day. We all are knowing sometime, but we are not implementing. Awareness is there, but implementation is very much lacking. Even I can say that I am connected with environment as so far GPCB is concerned. A lot of suggestion we are putting to the industry in order to control the environment. However, there is no monitoring mechanism and there is no self-understanding, and we are playing with the environment. I think a lot of damages we are creating and so many bad effects on the world we have observed also. And due to that, we are just putting ourselves into the threat, or rather human being into the danger. Hope so that by this type of talks, we may create awareness, and our student through that, something can be. And I think once yesterday there was a grand celebration by government of Gujarat at Gujarat University, a World Environment Day, by in the presence of Environment Minister as well as the Chief Minister of Gujarat. And due to that, let's say about more than 2,500 participants, they have very much rather given data regarding how we are damaging this. And everybody has took the oath so that they can take something one step ahead to take a good thing as of our environment where we are spoiling this. And I think this type of awareness is to be created at all places. And by virtue of that, we can save our earth. So my best wishes to this, and hope so that whatever deliberation will take place, which will be much useful to each and every individual, those who are the participants. Again, the congratulations to Rajesh Singh for arranging this type of program. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Aman Patel, sir. It is a great pleasure, sir. Now I will ask Namita ma'am, who is the dean, to just speak on this Environmental Day on Sustainable Development. Over to you, Namita ma'am. Hello. Just a minute. Hello, Namita ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. First of all, so thanks a lot, Rajesh Singh, sir, for just a nice idea, and my heartiest welcome to the show, sir. As you all know that this World Environment Day is celebrated every year on June 5th globally. And it is a day on which we spread awareness about the environment and the need to conserve it. And moreover, it is essentially to advocate, okay, so for a greener environment and conservation of the nature. And it is a quite simple, as when we conserve the environment today, the future generations, that's why the future will be able to lead a healthier life. So we cannot be so selfish and use up all the resources for ourselves. So this World Environment Day is the perfect opportunity to make people aware of the issues that we are facing and how one can contribute to saving it. So thus it is a quite important in its own way. So this all the thing and the awareness and the spread, how we can spread the knowledge about this all. So our resource persons will be brief on it. So please, Rajesh sir, start the session as early as you can, sir, please.
Okay, thanks a lot, madam, for your kind words. Now we will start our session with the topmost advocate, Advocate Hitesh Gupta from Vadodara, and is practicing in the High Court also. So now the session is handing over to you, sir. Advocate Hitesh Gupta, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Rajesh sir. and a warm good morning to everybody. The subject on the World Environmental Day, sustainable development. This is not only an important subject, but a topic which really needs awareness with a responsibility that we all need to share. Every one of us, if we think that whatever we are doing in our daily life, if we are contributing to the environment in a positive manner or negatively, we need to very well understand that. And when we talk of sustainable development, development is a need. With the rise of population, there is a need of developing infrastructure. There is a need of development in every sphere. But what is the cost of this development? What we are doing to environment? This is what relates to our topic, which is sustainable development. We need to strike a balance when we talk of sustainable development. A balance is required to be struck, mainly to see that with the development which is being focused, we do not harm or cause such damage to the environment which will have a very dire consequences on the future generation. This term, sustainable development, it was mainly introduced and it came up for the first time when World Conservation Strategy was called upon in 1980, and the focus was mainly that how and in what manner with the development the environment can be preserved well. Even at Brundtland program, which was a program of survival of common crisis in 1985, achieved a new status in 1983, our common future, and gained greater attention in the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development held in Rio de Janeiro in June 1992. In 80s, we realized that sustainable development is required to be considered. If not now, then the future will be dark. As I said, sustainable, the definition, sustainable development, it can be defined as an approach to the economic development of the country without compromising with the quality of environment for future. See, in the name of, as I said, in the name of economic development, what damage, what environmental damage is being done, and in different manner. Air pollution, water pollution, then soil erosion, land degradation. These are the types of pollution which are happening day in, day out with the economic development the infrastructure development that is taking place. And this damage may surpass the advantages of having more quality output of goods and services. See, there are situations where many parts of Himalayas, as tourist spots, people are having access, visiting places, but then ultimately, when we go there, hotels and several types of developments have been taking place, and what ultimately is happening, the mountains are being damaged. Tourists visiting the places, pollution is being done. In one of my recent visits to North India, the residents over there, I had an opportunity of having a conversation with them. It was a bit surprising situation for me that residential houses over there were not having any provision also for ceiling fan. They do not use ceiling fan over there. There is no need of installation of air conditioners. See, this is what is the situation, the beauty of the nature in northern part of our country. But because of the environmental issues, what has happened now, that residents in this area, especially in the month of summer, have now started realizing that for at least 1 month, we may need fans. Why this is the situation? This scenario has taken place because environment has been compromised with the development that has taken place, the concrete buildings that are being created, the manner in which forests are being spoiled. This is where, with the economic development, we are causing grave harm to the environment, and this is ultimately going to a situation where our future generation will suffer. From last 3 decades, we have seen that for the sake of economic growth, the health of the environment has taken a toll. As a result, there has been an impact on the environment, such as decline in air quality, climate change due to greenhouse gases, and all these factors led to the need for sustainable development. As it left unchecked, it can cause irreversible damage to the environment. As I gave the example right now, the climate change, this is the biggest issue. Before 10 years, 15 years, the climate that we were facing in Gujarat also, now the temperature at times goes to 45 to 48 degrees. This was perhaps not the same situation in past, before a decade or two. All this is happening mainly because damage is being done to the environment. And this damage, they said it is irreversible, because any other damage, if the house is damaged, if your surrounding garden is damaged, it can be repaired. But environmental damage is one such damage which cannot be repaired. It is an irreversible damage. And hence, great caution is required. And for this, it is we need to spread the awareness, proper awareness in our locality, in our society where we are residing, in our apartments. We need to make people aware as to how, in what manner we can contribute for a better environment tomorrow. what objective for sustainable development, which is economic growth, for creating an economy that is sustainable and growing in the right direction. Now, what can be that right direction is that we strike a proper balance. Growth is very much important, but that growth cannot be compromising in any other manner. It is very important that the environment is protected, and the objective focuses on contribution by humans towards protecting and enhancing the natural environment by minimizing pollution and waste, and also working towards reducing the global carbon footprint. Social illusion, which focuses on providing the facility of housing for future generation and assisting in creating healthy, strong, and vibrant global communities. The important aspect of sustainable development, that using the available resources judiciously and working towards maintaining the ecological balance to prevent degradation of environment and laying emphasis on protecting the environment and to prevent over exploitation of resources. Very importantly, if this balance is not struck, then the damage which is done because of the development which is taken place, it will ultimately, it may perhaps appear that we did something good for our own self, but at what cost? What cost and what damage to the environment is equally required to be understood before actually executing the development plans. How sustainability works, that sustainability encourages to frame decisions in terms of environmental, social, human impact for the long term rather than on short term gains. It influences to consider more factors than simply the immediate profit or loss involved. Increasing sustainability goals promote commitment such as zero waste or to reduce overall carbon emission by a certain percentage. Sustainability can be achieved by cutting emissions, lowering their energy use, sourcing products from fair trade organizations, and ensuring the physical waste is disposed of properly and with a small as a carbon footprint as possible. Now, whenever there is like industries are developed, there is a lot of chemical waste, and these chemical waste are being dumped at such places, though there might not be much of public access, but ultimately are thrown in open, causing huge damage to environment. Now, this chemical waste, industrial waste, that is what is an aspect of very great importance, that we need to understand that what is being done, the damage which is being done, and how this damage can be minimized. Whenever there is such physical waste, proper way of disposing the same, the resources are required to be developed not only to create chemical which is useful, but also to see that the waste which is being created, even that is disposed of in best of the possible manner. As I said, objective of sustainable development, which is economic growth, environmental protection, and social illusion. A balance is required to be struck because when we talk of economic development, then sufficient economy, nurturing community, social community, and then when the proper balance will be struck, only then the target of sustainable development will be achieved. There are several goals which are required to be considered, which focuses on sustainable development. Giving a few examples, if ultimately if we achieve these sustainable development goals, we will be able to somehow see that the issue of poverty, zero hunger, the well-being of humans, their good health, good education will be, quality education will be there, gender equality, will be able to get clean water, the sanitation issues will be solved, affordable and clean energy will be able to procure, decent work and economic growth, industrial and innovation infrastructure, reduce inequalities. See, there are several small aspects which are touching our life directly. And once we will be able to achieve sustainable development, these are some 17 goals which are being focused to transform our life, our world. The important aspects again pertaining to sustainable development, which provides essential human needs. The explosion of population means people will have to scramble to the limited life essentials like food, shelter and water. Adequate provision of these basic needs almost entirely hinges on infrastructure capable of sustaining them for a long time. If governments insist on utilizing fossil fuel based sources of energy instead of renewable and sustainable options, the cost and environmental effects of applying these basic needs would become a tall order. Agricultural requirement, a growing population means agriculture must catch up. Finding ways to feed the increasing population can be staggering. If the same unsustainable cultivation, planting, irrigation, spraying and harvesting techniques are utilized in future, they might prove to be financially burdening, considering fossil fuel resources are projected to run out. Sustainable development focuses on sustainable agricultural methods such as effective seeding techniques and crop rotation to promote high yields while maintaining the integrity of the soil, which produces food for large population. The better techniques, if are used, then the quality of the soil will also be maintained. Agriculturists these days are doing research as to how the quality of the soil can be maintained by planting one particular crop in one season followed by some other crop in another season. In such situation, the quality of the soil can be well maintained. Then managing climate change. Climate change can be mitigated by sustainable development practices. Sustainable development practices seek to reduce the use of fossil-based sources of fuel like oil, natural gas and coal. Fossil fuel sources of energy are unsustainable since they will deplete in future and are responsible for the emission of greenhouse gases. So, such gases which do not cause much harm are very much important that we consider. Then financial stability, sustainable development practices have the ability to create more financial stability economies across the globe. Developing countries that can't access fossil fuels can leverage renewable forms of energy to power their economies. From the development of renewable energy technologies, these countries can create sustainable jobs as opposed to finite jobs and based on fossil fuel technologies. And sustainable biodiversity. This is again an important aspect, that unsustainable development and overconsumption practices greatly impact on biodiversity. The life ecosystem is designed in such a way that species depend on one another for survival. For instance, plants produce oxygen and that human need for respiration. Humans exhale carbon dioxide that plants need for growth and production. Unsustainable development practices like emission of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere kill many plant species, resulting in reduction of atmospheric oxygen. Because this is a matter of grave concern, that how and in what manner we can protect the atmospheric oxygen, which because from our school days we are always been informed, we are time and again told that the way oxygen is being reduced, it is the main reason that the trees are being damaged, the plants are being gravely affected because of the pollution, and that is the only source of oxygen for us. Wind energy. This is again an important part where nowadays usage of turbines and windmills are increased. Now, rise in this is because it is wind energy is renewable, which means that it is never ending and can be used by substitute energy at the grid. This makes it a good sustainable development practice. The wind is openly available and we do not need to create dams or any other things. We are easily using wind energy and using the same for production of electricity, turbine and windmills, which help a lot. In Gujarat, mainly in Kutch and other areas, there is a heavy use of this. Solar energy. Nowadays we are seeing this solar panels being installed almost in every house. A very positive aspect, and the factors which is beneficial ultimately to the consumers and a source of mother nature. We are directly using it and ultimately contributing that the greenhouse gases are being reduced. Green spaces at locations where plants and animals are left to flourish. Parks also fall into the category of green spaces. Green spaces provide people to a remarkable opportunity to take pleasure in outdoor creation, more so in big cities where resting space is hard to come. Even in industrial zones, there are green belts nowadays compulsory being created, which are again a part of sustainable development. Crop rotation, which I just said, that there is a need in agriculture as to which crop should be successively planted so as to improve the fertility of the soil. And for many aspects of development, using sustainable methods and materials is expensive, while the long-term cost of sustainability does provide to be less expensive than traditional development. The creation of sustainable project may be far more expensive in the first phase. Another major issue is that there is not a generally accepted need for sustainable development. This is an awareness issue that may take many years to resolve. Some important case laws on Ganga pollution by Teneri's case, MC Mehta versus Union of India. Swap over of diesel vehicles to CNG vehicles case, again MC Mehta versus Union of India. Forestry preservation and sustainable development case, Ambika Quarry Works versus State of Gujarat. state of Himachal Pradesh versus Ganesh Wood Products. Wildlife is a heritage and important component of sustainable development, G.R. Simon and others versus Union of India. Tehri Dam case, Andy Jayal versus Union of India. Vellore Citizens Welfare Forum versus Union of India and others. And environmental legal action versus Union of India. These are some very important case laws. And to conclude, sustainable development is largely about people, their well-being and equity in their relationship with each other in a context where nature society imbalances can threaten economic and social stability, because climate change, its drivers, its impacts and its policies responses with interact with economic production and services, human settlement and human societies. Climate change is likely to be a significant factor in the sustainable development of many areas. Simply stated, climate change has the potential to affect many aspects of human development positively or negatively, depending on the geographic location, the economic sector, and the levels of economic and social development already attained. So, as I said, sustainable development, this is a very important aspect, because if we spread awareness and contribute in our own way, whatever best possible, making people aware the benefits of solar energy, installation of solar plants, we can do this, and the effect, it can be costlier at the first instance. Government is making policies these days to encourage this. Electric vehicles, which are now being emphasized on. The industry, the vehicle industries, they are like now focusing that maybe by 2025, there will be a phase where affording petrol or diesel vehicle will be too much difficult. And alternatively, if we shift to EV vehicles, electronic vehicles, the benefit of the same, that pollution, mainly, which is a matter of grave concern. We very recently have seen in at Delhi, there was all constant news and concern being shown even by the Honorable Apex Court as to how pollution can be controlled in such metro cities. See, this phase which is running is such that we all need to contribute in our own way in the best of the possible manner. And with this, I would just like to share this important aspect with you all, that let us all pledge and decide that on our whenever there is birthdays of our family members, not only by cutting a cake, we should celebrate the same, but at the same point of time, on birthdays, make it a point that you plant a tree somewhere in your surroundings. This is a way of giving something back to the environment, contributing in your own way in best of the possible manner. There people residing in flats may have issues that they might not be able to have proper space for having planting a tree or something, but open spaces in the surrounding areas can be well used for the same. And this way it will be on a long run, we will be certainly creating an environment which will be surely sustainable for the future generation. With this, I request Rajesh sir to take the webinar further. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir, it was a very fantastic session by you, sir. You have elaborated about the sustainability of the development, how it can be developed in a better way. You have also elaborated about the wind energy. You have also elaborated about how the plantation is to be done. You have elaborated what are the different landmark judgments on this particular topic, sir. So not taking more time, I am handing this session now to one of the advocate, Prachi Pratap from the Supreme Court of India. Basically, she is practicing in the criminal as well as civil side in the Supreme Court, and she is having more cases with the bankruptcy code also. So she is having with her sister Pallavi Pratap. She both are running one of the good law firm at and our few students are also accommodating, as in the Hitesh Gupta office also we have accommodated few students for internship. So now, ma'am, over to you, Prachi Pratap, ma'am, over to you.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm unsure if my video is visible.
Yeah, visible, ma'am.
Visible?
Can you remove this, Hitesh Gupta, sir? Can you just close this screen? Yeah. Now it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Over to you.
Yes, sir. Sir, I will not be able to screen share unless one of your students or you can do it, because I'm logged into the court on my laptop. Sorry, I'm joining from the phone.
Okay, ma'am. Can I share? Miss,
I
if you send me on my WhatsApp. Hello?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I'll just send you the PPT on WhatsApp. Moment.
Yeah.
I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, ma'am. Sure.
Just a moment, sir. Because I'm not going to completely be.
Ma'am. Okay, ma'am. What you can do, you can just share on my email. I've sent my email also, na? So that will be more comfortable for me.
Right. Yes, sir. Sent.
Just a minute. Yes, screen share नहीं हो रहा है मेरे से.
Or we can just begin without.
No, just a minute, ma'am. 1 minute, I will just to connect. ये है PPT. मोबाइल ये एक बार ये देखिए. Just a moment, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
So where it is okay. Yes, ma'am. Now I can share.
Okay.
So, ma'am, I am sharing right now.
Right.
Yes, just a minute. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Rajesh sir, for having me back at Parul University. It's a long-standing commitment we have, and we absolutely are overjoyed when Rajesh sir visits us in Supreme Court, and we sometimes tell her he should just stay here instead of going back to Vadodara. Anyway, all that apart, let's discuss a bit on sustainable development, as Hitesh sir has discussed in detail about everything that needs to be told. I'm going to touch on some matters in the slide, as well as talk a bit about sustainability from the point of view of corporates, National Green Tribunal, and what is happening in international litigations in sustainability, because we need to first understand the core fact of sustainable development as lawyers is that there is a lot of litigation happening because of the need for sustainable development due to climate change. So environmental degradation is affecting millions in third world especially, and it is likely to severely reduce human well-being all across globe within the next few generations. India has witnessed blinding pace of growth and development in recent times. We are one of the most developing economies in the world, but environmental degradation is very often caused by poverty because poor has no option but to be exploited and to exploit local resources for survival. The interlinked nature of most environmental problems is such that environmental degradation ultimately affects everybody. Although poorer individual nations may suffer more sooner than richer ones. In the last few years, it has seen a dramatic transformation in the environment development debate. The question being asked is no longer, do development and environmental concerns contradict each other? But how can sustainable development be achieved? It appears to have gained a broad-based support that earlier development concepts such as eco-development lacked and is poised to become developmental paradigm of the 1990s. Most people use the phrase sustainable development interchangeably with either ecological sustainable or environmentally sound development. The interpretation of sustainable development can be characterized by sustainability being understood as ecological sustainability and a conceptualization of sustainable development as a process of change that has sustainability added to its list of objectives. Sustainable development would simply mean development that can be continued either indefinitely or for the implicit time period of concern. When development is taken to be synonymous with growth in material consumption, which is often in the current world, the sustainable development would be sustaining the growth in material consumption. But such an idea contradicts the now general recognition that ultimate limits to usable resources exist. Sustainable development is understood as a form of societal change that, in addition to traditional developmental objectives, has the objective or constraint of ecological sustainability. Now, instead of going through the reports and all, I would also like to quickly touch upon a matter pertinent, which will throw, I'm not going to refer to the PPT right now. I would just refer to the Global Climate Litigation Report, which was issued by United Nations. Now, this climate change report is a compilation of all the litigation that has happened in relating to climate change and sustainability. And the biggest fact about this is that there were 884 cases filed by 24 countries. 654 were from the United States alone, 230 in other nations. Now, what this shows us is that the developed countries are more focused on sustainability, and that is where most of the litigation related to climate change is happening. The reason I'm putting emphasis on litigation relating to climate change and sustainability is because we all as lawyers will eventually, each one of us will be coming across cases that will take us to the National Green Tribunal that will be relating to sustainability or climate change or environment in some or the other way. And that is just a cursory look at what the bigger challenges of sustainability are. So there was a very interesting case in South America, which was called Future Generations versus Ministry of the Environment and others. Now, in this, the plaintiffs in South America had challenged the government, demanding their constitutional rights to life, health, subsistence, freedom, and human dignity. And it was upheld that it was linked to the state of the Amazon rainforest. And it was upheld that, yes, this is a violation of their constitutional rights. And we often come across such cases in India filed in NGT or via PILs that are later taken up in some or the other way, where we see that we have been linking the right for sustainable development to our basic fundamental rights. Now, there's another interesting case called Juliana versus United States. Now, in this case, there were young adults who had filed the case, but the 3 judges panel said that this case will not be maintained. However, one of the judges dissented, and he said that the arguing children had a constitutional standing. Of course, since it was a 2:1 ratio, it lacked the merit, but the dissenting judge's point of view is what we have to look at, because I'm just diverting a little from the topic. We have noticed in India and in US that the dissenting view should not be taken as a negative outcome, but it should always be used to further our legal pursuance and to further our cause in future cases, as we have seen in cases of Justice Chandrachud, Justice Khanna, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that whenever a judge is giving a dissenting judgment, it is not something to ignore, however, to borrow and use it later in your next argument or in any next plaint that you're filing. So the reason I'm referring to sustainable development cases from outside India is very simple. What often happens is, since we are a developing country, a developing economy, the cases that have been represented outside, similar cases will come in your years of practice. You will come across clients who will come up with issues, and you will refer to judgments that were outside or cases that were outside of India. And then it is easier for you to make your SLPs, make your plaints, and frame the charges, frame the issues, and borrow from the judgments which are outside. So I'm sorry, I'm just touching litigation here a bit in sustainable development PDF, but I'm doing this just for the simple reason that that is how my seniors have taught me. It is very important to not just look at the issue, but look at the issue from your practice point of view, because we all are here learning to be good lawyers. So getting back to the PDF, I'll talk about the report of WCED, the Brundtland Report in 1987, which produced a document, Caring for the Earth, a strategy for sustainable living. The document defined and explained the concept of sustainable development, and it is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Now, sustainable development discusses the concept of intergenerational equity, to not misuse the present resources and preserve it for coming generations. So it is a known fact across nations that whatever resources we have have not inherited it for our own use, but this is something that has to be passed down to future generations. And that is why some lawsuits, the one that I referred to is called future generation lawsuits. So therefore, the living should be in consonance with the environment. It is a multidimensional concept with 3 interacting angles: ecology, economics, and ethics. The necessary condition for achieving sustainable development are ecological security, economic efficiency, and social equity. It also implies local control over the resources used, and is the only path for conserving and promoting socio-economic well-being in a democratic form. Now, again, since I'm talking about the local control over resources in your years and areas of practice, you will always come across cases which are localized to an area. Maybe it might be mining in Goa or pollution in a certain area, whether it's water pollution or other, garbage dumping, these kinds of cases, or buildings being constructed and needing environmental clearance. All these cases are taken dime a dozen at NGT. So these are the local areas. And another point that I would like to mention is we need to really have a control over the local laws for framing our arguments better. Back to sustainable development. The 2030 agenda comprises 17 new sustainable development goals as a targeted year that every member country has to follow. to achieve SDGs that promotes sustainability, equality, social justice, and economic growth, among many of its agendas. It tackles the environmental challenges of our time, particularly climate change. The SDGs build on decades of work by countries and the UN, including the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. The Johannesburg Declaration on Sustainable Development and the plan of implementation adopted at the World Summit on Sustainable Development in South Africa in 2002 reaffirmed the global community's commitments to poverty eradication and the environment, and to build an Agenda 21 and the Millennium Declaration, which includes and puts more emphasis on multilateral partnerships. At the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, the Rio 20, in Rio de Janeiro, 2012, member states adopted the outcome document, The Future We Want, in which they decided inter alia to launch a process to develop a set of SDGs. Now, instead of going back and forth into the history of SDGs, let's focus on what are the 17 SDGs. Also because every time you come across violation of such SDGs, that are again areas of litigation for us. So the basic SDGs that are there are no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice and strong institutions, partnerships for the goals. So these are the basic and now SDGs. And now let's look at how India has implemented these. The Sashakt Bharat, Sabal Bharat, Empowered and Resilient India, that program aimed at removing poverty. It also focused on malnutrition, child mortality, education, sanitation, drinking water, electricity. So all the basic SDGs taken together in the zest of it. The Swachh Bharat, Swasth Bharat, the clean and healthy. In this, the goal was achieved in 603, 175 villages in 2019, which was a leap from 38% in 2014. Under the Ayushman Bharat, which is world's largest health protection scheme, it provides an annual cover of 5 lakh rupees to 100 million families from EWS sections. Another tracing application, Arogya Setu, was used in pandemic, and that was a goal to that was a part of the SDG goals as traced out by the United Nations. The Samagra Bharat, Saksham Bharat, social and financial inclusion, again an SDG goal. It is about financial inclusion to promote social inclusion through Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobiles, which provide for near universal access to bank accounts under the Jan Dhan Yojana. So, of course, this was one of the bigger goals that India was able to achieve for 2 reasons. First thing, during pandemic, we were able to, most people were able to access banks despite staying in lockdowns because of the Jan Dhan Yojana and having access to mobile phones. So that proved to be a great boon and one of the biggest that we have achieved. This Sustainable India, under UNFCCC, India's climate action strategies emphasize clean and efficient energy system, resilient urban infrastructure, and planned eco-restoration, among others. There has been increase in the capacity of renewable energy installation capacity by 75%. Energy-saving appliances reduce carbon dioxide emission annually by 38 million tons. Now, Sampanna Bharat, Samriddha Bharat, the prosperous and vibrant India, major reforms in relation to GST, FDI liberalization, insolvency, bankruptcy legislation, reforms and flagship programs like Make in India, Startup India, and Skill India was started and was therefore part of the scheme. Now, I would like to mention here, since we are talking of SDGs, recently in a not in a judgment, in a talk, Honorable Justice Chandrachud had mentioned that though we have a lot of development happening and the economy is doing great, but the gig economy workers are still not covered under, Workers' Protection Act. So that is one area that of SDG that is lacking in India. Because if we want, we want Make in India, Startup India, and Skill India to succeed, we definitely need to protect the gig economy workers who get laid off very quickly, who are not given insurances, who are not protected. So I would suggest if you all could actually Google the speech of Honorable Justice Chandrachud and read about it. It's very insightful. And then is Atmanirbhar Bharat, Self-Reliant India. Its objective is aimed at healthcare reforms and investments, relief and credit support related to businesses, measure to strengthen agriculture, fisheries, and food processing sectors, and technology-driven education with equity. So these are the basics of SDGs that we are covering. And then instead of going into details of the history, let's talk more about what is the aim of the Sustainable Development Goals. So you see, the sustainable development cannot be achieved through isolated initiatives. In fact, nothing can be achieved through isolated initiatives. It has to be integrated efforts at various levels, comprising social, environmental, and economic aspects. The successful implementation of SDGs will rely upon disintegrating complex interactions among goals and their an integrated approach towards sustainability would require realizing manage tensions, trade-offs, and synergy dimensions. More importantly, in managing the tension of sustainability and sustainable development, a key role has to be played by international organizations and agencies, nations, government of various countries, non-governmental organizations, and civil society organizations. Recently, Goa, the mining reform that happened is not but it's also part of the civil society activism that has brought forth the mining of Goa, and that is another to actually refer to. It's very insightful. Sustainable development thrives on the commitment of people. In order to step into action, public participation should be increased, as we talked about civil society activism. All people must be aware and acknowledge that their survival and survival of future generations, intergenerational equity, as we discussed, depend on responsible behavior regarding consumption and production, environmental and social values. It is only by integrating the pillars can negative synergies be arrested, positive synergies fostered, and meaningful sustainable development made to happen. It implies that economic, social, and environmental sustainability form elements of a dynamic society and growth system. They cannot be pursued in isolation for sustainable development to flourish. Therefore, all decisions should seek to encourage positive growth, equilibrium within the natural system. Although ensuring sustainable development is everyone's business, global, regional, national organizations, as well as governments and civil society organizations, are advised and expected to show ownership, leadership, and citizenship. So just a little bit of implications we'll discuss in brief, so as not to take too much time. The governments of various countries should promote smart growth through proper land use and alignment of their economies with nature's regeneration capacity. As we know, a lot of time, land is left fallow for allowing the nature to regenerate, and then it is reused. Also, these practices can be brought forth through taxation and subsidy policies, which accentuate the acceptable and eliminate the unacceptable outcomes. In this respect, all countries should, for example, regarding pollution, enforce the polluter pays principle, whereby governments require environment polluting entities to bear the cost of their pollution rather than impose those costs on others or on the environment. I would like to bring something completely out of topic here. I was in National Green Tribunal a couple of weeks ago, and it was not my case, somebody else's case. It's a hybrid hearing happening over there, where the screen is there. Some litigants are via this online hybrid to virtual platform, and some are in person. So one of the lawyers wanted to take adjournment, and see, NGT is very careful about not giving unnecessary adjournment, because the matters in NGT are of extreme importance, especially, say something is about environment pollution, or, NOC has to be granted. So this lawyer was seeking adjournment by 3 days, and the judge said, if you want adjournment by 3 days, why don't you pay 1 crore a day as cost? The lawyer decided to argue the case because it didn't make sense, and the judge was pretty adamant of imposing cost for adjournment. So now this shows that there is a positive impatience when it comes to achieving the goals of sustainability. So population growth should be checked through population policies backed by legal frameworks. Unless special action is taken, population growth with increased resource consumption beyond what the earth can accommodate will lead to the decline in or the collapse of the environment, economy, and society. All countries need to have population policies that seek to check unbridled population growth. There is a need for all countries to formulate and implement social policies that foster tolerance, social cohesion, and justice as cornerstones of social interaction. This can be done by enshrining universal human rights within a framework of citizenship, inclusion, equity, and effective governance. Now, this particular point is very much in place in India, as we see that our rights are pretty intact, and often cases where environmental violation is there, or human rights of dignity and right to life are apprehended in any way, litigations take place immediately. There should be constant education on sustainable development by the UN and the governments of all countries, as well as civil society organizations, to all people resident everywhere. The sensitization programs should be directed at ensuring that every country's residents understand the concept and principles of sustainable development and engage in responsible environmental, economic, and social behavior, as well as accountable stewardship. Sustainable development requires the generation and application of creative ideas and innovative design and techniques. For this reason, the UN should partner with governments, private sector, development agencies, and civil society organizations to provide strong institutional and financial support. Now, this is being done in India a lot, both by UN, World Bank, World Health Organization. So we are pretty much on the path of sustainable development for that matter. In prosecuting the sustainable development agenda, UN should acknowledge and consider different national capacities and levels of development and respect national policies and priorities. So that is the goal that UN should also have, that it cannot be one size fits all. It has to be, it cannot be one size fits all. It has to be uniquely structured to suit the need of a nation. See, what sustainable goals India needs will not be same as its neighbors like Nepal and Bangladesh. However, we can all borrow from each other and strive to grow together. So I have kept it brief, and I hope it conveys the basic ideas of sustainable development. I've tried to link it to litigation, since most of us intend to get into litigation. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope it's insightful.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Now we have the question answer session. So, ma'am, we are putting certain question to Advocate Hitesh Gupta, sir. The first question is to Advocate Hitesh Gupta, sir. Sir, in the various chemical industries, I am audible to you, sir. Hitesh, sir.
Yes, you are audible.
Sir, in the various industry, chemical industry, the government has made a rule for making the effluent treatment plants. If they do not have a effluent treatment plant, they should have wind up their industry. So, what is the note on this, sir? Over to you, sir.
See, there are many cases which are been the licenses which are issued only when this proper disposal facilities are being done. If those facilities are not there, then in such cases even licenses are not issued, and regular inspections are being done by pollution control board offices. Mainly this is done for the reasons that there is a proper check also, that whatever industrial wastes are there, they are done and executed in a proper manner or not, and minimizing the damage to the environment. Pollution control board these
Yes.
days is very active. You might have
Sir,
seen very recently we had even a very sad incident in our own city also, whereby there was a huge blast in an industry, causing tremendous damage. A couple of months back at Surat, an incident took place where hazardous chemical waste was posed in open land, which caused death of several people also. So there are few things which are a matter of concern, and pollution control board and the government is working very seriously on this issue.
Gambling.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question that, sir, that the role of Gujarat Pollution Control Board in Gujarat, because you know, nearby Vadodara, we have certain industries where in the Nandeswari, where the lots of plants were shut it down by the instruction of the Gujarat Pollution Control Board, and they have, and the High Court also said that if these are polluting at a greater release of sulfur dioxide and these types of hazardous gases, so the plant should be shut it down. So what is your note that what are the steps this Gujarat Pollution Control Board should take on this, sir? Over to you, Hitesh Gupta, sir.
This is what exactly this is mainly because not only there is judicial activism on this part, but at the same point of time it is the responsibility of the pollution control board, which is well provided in the act itself. It is the function of the pollution control board to keep a check on whatever activities are being done, and especially aspects of concern where the pollution, the chemical waste is being poured into water bodies especially.
Yes.
So a lot of things has been done on this part, and it is very much required. It is their pious duty also to keep a regular watch on this, and wherever they found any such illegal act where the specified way, in a particular way, if the waste is not disposed of, then strict actions are being taken. This action of even closing down the plants and putting a seal is also one of such harsh action, and which is well required also.
Hitesh Gupta, sir, one more thing that, you know, what they are doing, that in the night hours, they are deliberating these cases, not in the day hours. So if suppose there are villagers thereby residing, they are being affected at the large. So, sir, in these cases, the Gujarat Pollution Control Board has to check in the night hours also, isn't it, sir?
Yes, definitely, you are absolutely right, because this is there is this industrialists who are running such chemical industries. They are trying to just rather than performing their duty towards the environment issues, what they are just doing, they are trying to find some way out as to whatever conveniently they can do to dispose of the chemical waste, which is ultimately an alarming situation for all of us.
Yes. Now one more question to Prachi Pratap madam, as you are from Delhi. So right now in Delhi, the pollution is a major issue. So ma'am, the government has taken a lots of steps to protect the children and to protect, they have sometimes they will close down the schools also. And you know, the pollution is still growing. So what is your view that in your Delhi, what can be done and what government should take an action to reduce these pollutions? Yeah, over to you, ma'am. Prachi ma'am.
So, yes, sir. Of course, we have one of the most toxic airs in the country, world, so to say. And every time the only solution is to just shut down things for a little while. And personally, I have suffered from it a lot because my daughter is an asthma patient. But honestly, there's not much which is being done except for the new rollout of e-buses, which will definitely help curb pollution. However, being such a densely populated state, I think bigger measures are needed. But that would include, reducing the vehicles, because that is causing a major emission, as well as construction sites. Now, station of charging stations, I think we will in the next couple of years see more e-vehicles, and that may be one step closer to curbing the pollution. No, can't hear you, sir.
Madam, we are very much thankful to both of you, Advocate Hitesh Gupta sir and Prachi madam, for enlightening us with a good topic, and we have learned lots of things, ma'am. Secondly, ma'am, that we will also ensure that these types of things and plantation is to be implemented by each and every students, and not only the students, even the teachers should also plant, so that when the teacher will start these things, the student definitely will do this. Okay. So, ma'am, not taking more time, I am giving session to Dr. Debarti Haldar, who is the professor at Parul Institute of Law, to give a vote of thanks. Over to Debarti Haldar, ma'am.
A very warm welcome to Parul Institute of Law. And on behalf of entire Parul Institute of Law family, students and teachers, I, Professor Dr. Debarti Haldar, thank you, madam, and also thank you, sir, for giving such wonderful session for all of us. Thank you.
So on this note, I am also say Dr. Namita Vyas Joshi ma'am to say a few words, and then we will close this session. Dr. Namita Vyas Joshi ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. That was really a very warm session, and that each and everything was briefed very nicely and at a very root level. Actually, the thing was completely clear for the students in a very easiest way. Okay, they were able to understand in a very simple sense. There was nothing was like that complicated or technical. So, and each and everything was very smooth. So that's why this. Thank you very much, ma'am, and thank you very much, sir.
Okay, Dr. Namita Vyas Joshi ma'am, thanks a lot, ma'am, for your kindness and for the warm welcome, as well as to enlighten our students. So we are thankful to both the speakers, and from this note, I am closing this session. I am also thankful to Jiten Kobani and Brijesh Acharya, who has given the very good live session on the Facebook. So I am thankful to all the events team. Thanks a lot for your kindness. Thanks a lot, Prachi madam. Thanks a lot, Advocate Hitesh Gupta sir. Thanks a lot, sir. We are closing this section. Okay, madam, we can close.